all of a sudden you have a zygote that is now brought into this world. And the species of said zygote is human, meaning it is a human life. Would you argue that this unicellular organism should have the right to life merely because it is human and alive?
I really want you to, because I came in here with a point that I wanted to speak about, and I need to know your stance on it, and maybe we agree in a way on it.
Well,
and I just asked, when is the recreation, or when can you just get a cutoff by choice?
Once again,
that's what I want to talk about.
I don't think I'll be informing you about my stance until you're able to prove that your stance can withhold one simple question.
All right, ask one simple question.
I already did. And you didn't listen, Grant. Why?
I'm a horrible listener.
Okay, I'll repeat it. So if your stance is that all humans that are alive have the right to life, is outside of like special circumstances, like some heinous crime, this would indicate that a human zygote, the first stage of human development, which is a unicellular organism, would possess the human right to life merely because they're human and alive. So I'm asking you to affirm or deny that. Do you think that a human zygote possesses the right to life merely because they're human and alive?
Why are people saying I'm Canadian?
I don't know. Answer my question, not the chat.
Yeah, okay, got you. No, I disagree with your statement.
No, it'd be I disagree with your question. So you're saying that you disagree and that you do not think human zygotes would have the right to life because they're human and alive. So then the next question would be, well, then why the fuck does a fetus have the right to life?
Because it hasn't done anything wrong.
Neither has a zygote.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same thing.
If it's the same thing, then okay, you just affirmed that it's like a zygote and a fetus would be the same thing here. So if you disagree with the idea that the zygote would have the right to life, then obviously because you think the fetus is essentially the same thing, therefore you also would disagree and say that the fetus wouldn't have the right to life.
The fetus has the right to life.
So then why doesn't the zygote?
Because, correct me when I'm wrong, I'll probably be wrong, correct me when I'm wrong. A lot of times when the two cells meet and they create the zygote, it fails into creating actual life, and the baby is not made. Like, am I right about that?
When do you think that quote unquote actual life starts?
I don't know. Like, I think it's like 2 weeks after like conception kind of thing.
What occurs at 2 weeks that indicates the start of life?
I'm not a woman. I'm not a biologist. I don't know. I just want to talk about.
If you're placing an
expectation,
if you're placing an expectation and saying that you're not a woman, how would you know? Well, Grant. Well, you see, the thing is here, buddy. If you're not a woman, and I can't expect you to know these facts that are relevant to your argument insofar as why you think abortion is wrong because you're not a woman, then if you're not a woman, why would I allow you to sit here and say that all women in this country, including girls, and in some circumstances victims of rape, shouldn't be able to access abortion?
No, you can't just do it whenever. There has to be a cutoff, and circumstantially.
I don't think you have an argument to demonstrate that you should be able to dictate what anybody does at any point because you're not a woman. If you want to make the argument that I can't expect you to answer very rudimentary questions about your argument because you're not a woman.
You're basically saying there's the baby doesn't matter until it's actually born.
What? No, I just said that if I can't expect you to be able to answer rudimentary questions about your abortion position because you're not a woman, then why are you placing an expectation upon yourself that it's somehow permissible for you to advocate for legislation preventing women's access to abortion?
All right,
even though you're not a woman?
All right. Let's pretend for 1 second here
that you're answering my questions. That's an unrealistic hypothetical. Therefore, it's irrelevant per your earlier statements.
No, because because I had to listen to your hypothetical. You're going to listen to mine, okay?
Sorry. That was just being cheap. That was a cheap shot. Go ahead.
Okay. If your close, whether it's a relative, friend, whatever, was in a relationship, got pregnant, and she's like, you know what, I'm not in a place for this child. I'm not gonna be able to give it a good life. I'm gonna have to get rid of this, right? Sure, that's a stance people will take and accept. That's fine, whatever. I'm not under the impression that because she's gonna get rid of it, you can just, oh, let's just keep drinking, let's just keep smoking, let's jump on my stomach, let's belly flop into a pool. Under your ideology, because she's gonna get rid of it, it's not born. It's going to be terminated. What would be wrong with doing those things?
Oh, you're saying with certainty that we know that she will get an abortion with
Yeah,
certainty?
you know she's going to do it.
Okay,
You know she's going.
And there's like a 0% chance that she doesn't get an abortion.
Well, I mean, she could change her mind, but as of right now, her mind is determined that she's going to get rid of it. But she could change her mind in the future.
Okay, well,
we don't know what she's going to think.
So the way that I would like cast harm on or wrongness on like a pregnant mother drinking alcohol is completely dependent on how that can impact future states that will actually exist. So in other words, if there's like a 100% chance that a woman is going to get an abortion, well, then I don't think there would be anything wrong with her drinking when she's pregnant, if it is certainly the case that she is going to get an abortion. However, if it's not certainly the case that she is going to get an abortion, then that would yield a potential future harm on states of a person that actually exist. And that's what would make it wrong.
Okay, that's fine. So I just want to be clear that you could see your own family member, mother, aunts smoking and drinking while pregnant, and when you try to talk to her and be like, hey, that maybe you shouldn't do that, she's like, it doesn't matter, I'm going to get rid of it in a few months
In
anyway.
reality, it is almost impossible to suggest that it is certainly true somebody will get an abortion. And for that reason, it is very unlikely that would be my response in reality. However,
because
conceptually
why are you
speaking,
valuing that
if it
baby that's
is
not born?
conceptually true, if it is conceptually true that she will never get an abortion, that she will get an abortion, then I wouldn't cast wrongness on her drinking, smoking, etc.
Okay, I mean that's a fair opinion.
I mean, yeah. So do you want to go back to attempting to answer my question, or did you kind of give up on making an argument in affirmative of the pro-life?
No, I just want to speak about that topic. Now I want to go to, I think it's a really good thing what he's doing with ICE.
I thought that you were pro-life. If it's a kid in the womb, can't kill him. But guess what? If it's a kid out of the womb with brain cancer, deport him. If it's a grown adult out of the womb with legal residency in America, send them to CCOT where they're essayed, right?
Do you believe in open borders?
Yeah, open to everybody always at any point at any time. Is that what you want me to say? Because honestly, I have this false dichotomy suggested to me by so many Trump supporters. The moment I suggest that it is such a bad thing, it is wrong, that legal immigrants are being essayed in torture prisons in El Salvador, apparently that means I'm pro-open border. It's just completely ridiculous. I live in a land of grandeur delusion. I don't know how you do it.
No, I don't truly believe that you believe in open border. I know you don't. I know that's not. Most people would never agree with that. My point is if you treat these people that come in from other countries illegally, and treat them just, you know what, like we're just gonna give you like a really good treatment, like we're gonna be like, let's just speed you a visa, let's just speed you this. If you just give these people the king treatment, they're just going to keep coming over illegally. If you treat them poorly, they're going to be less likely to come through illegally.
Very nice. Okay. So so first of all, the use of the phrase "these people," I don't know, raises some red flags in my brain, but I digress. I'll go ahead and respond to the meat on the bone instead.
What's wrong with these people?
Like typically that's used as like a categorization of individuals to like display or convey like some notion of like bigotry or prejudice. Like these people, as like strong roots in like the American South in reference to like black individuals on behest of like racist white individuals.
I don't know.
So like in deploying the phrase, when referencing undocumented immigrants, when we could so all very obviously see the systemic dehumanization and targeted oppression of undocumented immigrants for no greater purpose, either to themselves or us, just simply for the purpose of being bigoted to get votes and support. It raises those same flags. Now, but I'll go ahead and respond to the meat on the bone once again. So you're telling me that if we like really harm undocumented immigrants that are already in this country, then more immigrants would be disincentivized from undocumented entry. You're right. That's actually what Trump is doing. But it's bad,
Yeah, that's good.
Because it's predicated on harming people.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be harmed if they didn't already commit a crime.
Oh, right. This is like the same rhetoric, the same phrasing as, that woman wouldn't have gotten raped if she didn't walk into the bar with that short skirt.
No, it's not. It's not, because her walking into a bar is not a crime.
We absolutely can't say that, they committed the misdemeanor of undocumented entry, and if they didn't commit that misdemeanor, then they wouldn't be beat, tortured, and starved in CCOT for 3 weeks. So therefore, it's okay to beat, torture, and starve them in CCOT for 3 weeks. If you care so much about a misdemeanor and you think that the response that we've seen from the Trump administration has been adequate and appropriate, then how the hell would you say we should respond as a nation to Donald Trump's 34 felonies? Because it seems like you responded by putting him in the most powerful position of power and quadrupling his net worth.
You shouldn't have asked that question, Dean. Put your hands up. Don't Google this. Name 2 of the felonies.
Well, I mean, all 4 of them, all 34 of them. All 34
name
of
2.
them. Okay, falsification of business records with the second step intent to commit another crime. It's a Class C felony in the state of New York. I guess your gotcha failed.
No. All 34 felonies are the same thing.
Right.
They're all just transactions. That's it.
The Class C felony in the state of New York. Business fraud.
You call this
with the
guy
second step
30.
intent
You tell
to
your
commit
whole 10,000,
another crime.
12,000 people talking that he has 34 felonies.
Right.
Yet all he did was make 34 payments.
Right, to Stormy
That's
Daniels.
the felony he
and
is.
Then
Why don't you bring up the
business
bad things
expenses.
he's done to women?
So,
who cares about the 34 felonies that aren't anything? Even no one cares about that shit. Billionaires do this stuff all the time. That's like tax evasion, fraud, whatever. All this white collar crimes. If you're going to use any argument against Trump for being a criminal, why don't you bring up the ones that he actually did that's wrong?
Well, point number 1, you did misclassify what his felony was. Because no, it was a felony because it wasn't just simply the falsification of business documentation, but it was with the intent to conceal a second crime. And that's what he was found guilty of. So it wasn't just simply, the misappropriation and misdocumentation.
It was all from
of
Stormy
business
Daniels.
values. Do you mind if you allow me to finish?
Sure.
Great. So it wasn't just simply the falsification of business records. It was with an intent to conceal a second crime. Now, I actually brought these up for a very specific purpose. You're right. I think that the fact he was held civilly liable for SA is significantly more meaningful than his 34 felonies. I think the fact that he was boasting on Howard Stern's podcast about he likes to walk into the changing rooms of naked teenage girls and grown adult women is significantly, worse than his 34 felonies. But the reason I specifically brought up his 34 felonies in the context of a conversation where you're telling people they deserve to be tortured because of a misdemeanor is because I expected you to respond by saying, even though they're felonies, they were victimless, and I don't think they were that wrong because they happen all the time. Well, guess what? The misdemeanor of undocumented entry into this country has no enumerated way in which it would harm this country. In fact, it only supplies more to the country by boosting our GDP by $1.1 trillion through $1.7 trillion per year, by adding 8.3 million laborers to our workforce, by paying $100 billion per year in taxes. And in fact, legally speaking, it is of a lower degree than Donald Trump's 34 felonies. Then to your last point, saying this happens all the time, I bet there's been more undocumented immigration into this country in the last 10 years than there was billionaires falsifying business records. So if that's your defense for Donald Trump's felonies, you could assume what the next sentence out of my mouth is going to be.
Yeah, why was he held civilly liable and not criminally liable?
I love the deflection. I'll answer that after you respond to anything that I say.
He didn't do it. That's why.
Well, for
he
sure.
just wanted money.
Yeah, for sure. So you have the bait on the fishing rod right now, and you're hoping that I jump at it. So then I just allow you to ignore everything that I just said. I'm not going to fall for the bait. Ignore everything I just said. Then I'll entertain your felonious misogyny.
Now I'm misogynistic.
Oh, yeah, totally. I'll explain that one in a bit, though. Respond to everything that I said in reference to you downplaying Donald Trump's 34 felonies and my correlation to the misdemeanor of undocumented entry.
Yeah. So you said you said that what undocumented immigrants is what you prefer me to call them?
Yeah.
Okay, undocumented. You said they paid $100 billion a year in taxes, correct?
So true.
Correct. Do you think that they benefit from our society with those, like the tax dollars they spend?
Are you saying they reap the benefit of the tax dollars that they spend?
Right? They do, correct?
In some circumstances, yes. In a lot of circumstances, in majority of circumstances, no.
No, you're saying no?
Well, it depends on various different variables. Some ways yes, some ways no. Like, for instance, they do qualify for access to emergency resources in emergency rooms under the 14th Amendment and humanitarian legislation passed under Obama's administration. That's being paid for by the taxpayer, which would include in part funding given to our federal government by the $100 billion per year that they pay in taxes. In some states, they benefit from systems like Medi-Cal in California, where they can claim health insurance given that they're low income or elderly. In other states, they don't qualify for any benefits because in all 50 states, they don't qualify for federal benefits. And in some states, they don't offer state benefits. So that's why it's incredibly nuanced. It depends on where they're at. It depends on what their income is. It depends on what their age is and what benefits they can or can't qualify. But the reason why I said overwhelmingly they don't claim the benefits via the money that they pay in taxes is because they don't qualify for any federal benefits like we do, like federal food stamps, federal Section 8, federal Medicaid, federal Medicare, federal Social Security, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then in a lot of states, they don't qualify for the same benefits that we do. In Republican states, they don't qualify for any. And then in Democratic states, they only qualify for limited ones.
Right. So we can both agree that immigrants benefit the country. Nobody disagrees with that. Nobody disagrees with that.
So then why do you want to remove millions of them?
Because you have to weed through the immigrants coming in to find the bad ones. Because if 100 good ones come in and one bad one comes in, that bad one can ruin people's lives.
So let me guess.
Right?
Like Donald Trump's mass deportation or the removal of every single undocumented immigrant. Are you just saying that every quote unquote bad immigrant happens to be every undocumented immigrant?
No.
Okay, so then you're arguing defensive policy that Donald Trump is not advocating for. Because Donald Trump is very explicitly and clearly advocating for the mass removal of every single undocumented immigrant in this country.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Wait. So then even under your view, why would you support removing good immigrants, quote unquote?
Okay, this is why. So when we remove them, they should be documented as who's been removed. Then we can get like personal references. What have these people done well in their time in America? Oh, they were working here. They were doing this. They were doing this. Their kids were in school here. Okay, now they're on this list of, are they a good person? Did they have good values? Were they good people? Were they fair people? Whatever. Okay, let's speed them through the process. Let's get them a quick entry to America because they were already here doing a good job. But then when they find out the one guy was like, oh, he wasn't working, he was on like social assistance programs, maybe we're not just going to bring this one back. So I think we should remove them all, or at least clump them all somewhere, document what their experience has been like in America, and like the 99% of them that are going to be perfectly fine to be here.
Everything that you're describing is going to cost significantly more than the net drain on the economy of undocumented immigrants in states that offer them benefits that claim them that aren't working. You understand that, right? Like what you're describing right now is costing trillions. Meanwhile, the total bill for undocumented immigrants that aren't working and claiming benefits in only just a few of the states in the country,
tiny. I know.
Maybe costs a couple billion. So in other words, you're like, well, let's waste trillions of dollars on an operation that will slow down our productive capacities, decenter and destabilize our manufacturers, and reduce our GDP just so we could focus on a handful of individuals that exist inside of a larger demographic that productively provide to the country. I have a better solution. What if we were just to allow undocumented immigrants to stay in the country, offer them a pathway for residency or citizenship, deny said pathway of residency or citizenship to undocumented immigrants with prior violent offenses, prior nonviolent yet criminal insane offenses, and in individuals with prior outstanding warrants, then give everybody that remains a pathway to residency or citizenship. I mean, if you care about the economy, which it seems like you do because you're talking about net drain, cost, contributions, etc., well, then you'd obviously support this plan since it'll give them more bargaining power that they could use against their employers to get higher wages. So without any material change in their employment, GDP per capita goes up. What happens when GDP per capita goes up? Contributions to our overall tax pool goes up. What happens when contribution to our overall tax pool goes up? Then our government has more money to spend on increasing the average quality of life for Americans, meaning poverty goes down, meaning crime goes down, meaning we flourish to just a little bit of a higher level because we're rejecting bigotry and replacing it with critical thought and examination based upon an empirical outcome-driven plan. But no, that's not what you want to do. You want to revert us back to a way of thinking where we ignore the nuance, where we ignore the facts, where we ignore the outcomes, and we say, "Oh, you committed a misdemeanor? Boo! I'm going to send you to be beaten and tortured in CCOT. Oh, you didn't even commit a misdemeanor and you happen to be a legal green card holder? Boo! I'm going to send you to an ICE detention center for 3 months." It makes no goddamn sense.
That was awesome, man. That was awesome.
See what I mean? See my points here?
Yeah, you're a fun guy to talk to. You do all the talking.
And you don't do any of the listening.
Well, I mean, yeah, you rant on. You obviously know you speak quickly, right? You're a quick speaker. You know your shit. You're speaking fast. Like when you're bringing up points that I haven't heard 10 times a day or said 10 times a day.
You're right. You're right. I get it. I'll try to slow myself down a little bit. You're right.
It's like, it's really hard to rope, like, because you've just put a bunch of stuff into 2 minutes of speaking. And it's like, where do I even start? Because when you start saying something, I'm thinking about what to respond to. And then you keep saying more things. And then I can't,
Nah, bro, I get it.
Right?
Like low-key skill issue. I'm just playing.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I'm just playing. I got you. Here, while you're thinking of a response to that, let me think of a couple of people. First and foremost, Coral, thank you so much for the $50 super chat over on YouTube. Thank you so much for the love, Coral. If everybody watching could please show some love to Coral down below, that'd be very meaningful. Coral says, thank you for always standing up for women's rights and LGBTQ+IA rights and backing it up with science and facts. You and Parker give me such high hopes for the future of our country. Thank you for being good men. Coral, I love you. You are in here every single day, and you were just always so kind to me. I want to be kind to you guys. Please show some love to Coral down below in the chat. She just means a lot to me. Thank you, Coral. As well as Emily with the $3 over on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love. Then Andrew with the $15 on Venmo 17 minutes ago saying, hey, Gene, I hope you're having a good day. Andrew, I'm not going to lie. I actually am. The debates have been good today. I've been really enjoying myself. I mean, what about you guys watching? I feel like the debates have been decent, you know? So thank you for the $15, Andrew. Oh, he left. I guess that was the culmination of his efforts to kind of decipher what I was saying. Oh, well. Jennifer with the $5 saying, love your shirt. Thank you, Jennifer. And then, oh my God, this was 23 minutes ago. I really hope that you're still in here. Holy crap. Monique. Thank you so much for the $50 donation over on Venmo. Holy crap, Monique. Thank you, everybody. I want to see 500 Monique W's down below in that comment section while we're looking to get our next guest loaded into the live right now. Monique, you are an absolute icon. Thank you so much for the love. That is incredibly kind of you. Thank you, Monique, for the $50. Everybody watching, please show some love to Monique down below. As well as right now, we got Gideon loading into the live. Like the Gideon. Like, no joke. The Gideon. Gideon. Like, no joke. The Gideon. He's on pause. Hello.
Hello.
What's going on, man? It's been a while.
Dean? Oh, man. It has, bro. It has. How you doing?
You know, I'm doing real well, man. It's been a rough couple of months here dealing with everything the administration is doing. How about yourself?
Oh man, it's been rough out here too, man. Just caught I caught a sex offender, I believe it was like a week ago. Yeah, last week, named Tristan Kirkfrost. He invited a 12 and 6-year-old over to his job. He got arrested, and they ended up also finding 30 counts of CP on his phone. We caught another registered sex offender over in Florida. His name was Anthony Creamer. He had raped a 13-year-old girl, did 10 years in Pennsylvania. Now he's over in Florida, came to meet another 13-year-old girl, brought his dog, and then I got a guy today. So yeah, been pretty bad, man. But we getting them. We getting them slowly but surely.
You're doing good work, man. You're seriously, you're doing like very, 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 very good work. Um,
Oh man, thank you,
Proud of you.
Dean. Thank
Yeah.
you, man. What state you live in?
I'm out here in Colorado.
Colorado. I think I have a guy in Colorado, man. Bro, maybe I gotta get you on EDP watch.
Dude, if you have if you're ever out here, I'd love to go catching preds with you. I mean, it sounds like a great way to spend some of my free time.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, no, literally, believe it or not, it's actually really fun. But I got a question for you, man.
Take it away.
So I was gonna ask, what is your opinion on I'm not gonna even say like the Israel and Gaza and Palestine stuff because I feel like that's kind of played out. But I guess like the current like I guess contention with Israel, how most Americans feel, how the media, or not, I wouldn't even say the media, how I guess the public's opinion is being portrayed. I feel like kind of right now Israel's kind of like that point where the left and the right kind of meet at. It's like a weird intersect. What's it called in math? The slope or the intersect? Oh man, I sucked at math. But what's your opinion on all that?
People are starting to agree. Well, first and foremost, man, I mean, good for you for asking these questions on such a public platform when so many, like celebrities, people with a lot of influence are very scared away from it.
Oh wait, hold up. I see people in the comments saying I'm a Trump supporter. I must say I am not a Trump supporter. I mean, I'm just not. But you can continue. My bad.
Yeah, I remember you coming up here before the election and telling us that, so that's good. Well, man, I'll tell you. Well, I mean, I think that we've seen Israel being like a very bad country for like quite a long time now. Like I started paying more attention and became like pretty outspokenly like pro-Palestine around a year and a half ago. And at that point, being pro-Palestine was definitely more of like a far left position. But I mean, as time has progressed, we've just seen Israel take more obvious steps towards being like war criminals and ethnically cleansing Palestinians. And, like now a year and a half later, we're in a place where there's a stage 5 starvation. We have a baby under the age of 1 dying like every day on the Gaza Strip. People are being systemically, starved. And then we have Netanyahu denying their starvation. And then today announcing a plan to annex and claim the whole region while the people are weak, while the people are dying, while the people are starved, which is just a humongous encroachment in violation of international law. Now it's a little bit more obvious that Israel is really hurting and like the Palestinian people. And you can't just defend it by saying, well, it's a war anymore. So we're seeing more people more on the institutional liberal side and on the right, because Donald Trump is now more pro-Israel than pro-America, intersecting into being anti-Israel and pro-Palestine. And I mean, I think it's cool. I think that there's different motivations at play. Like maybe some people on the far right are only against Israel and for Palestine because they're neo-Nazis, right? Which I completely disagree with. In fact, I sent out a pro-Palestinian tweet before I started the live, then deleted it because everybody agreeing with me in the comment section were literally Nazis. And I want to be able to get that messaging across without allowing Nazis to spew their Nazi propaganda. But it's interesting. Now Donald Trump has exposed himself as being like more pro-Israel than pro-America.
So I guess you took that down because like you disagree with the Israel regime, but you disagree with how other people disagree, right?
Right. Well, for instance, like I think that 9 out of 10 people in the comment section there were just literally Nazis. Like they're just against Israel and Netanyahu because they're Jewish. And for that, I like very much so disagree with.
Yeah, man. So the reason why I bring it up, man, is like I've been doing a lot of research lately, and for the audience that don't know me, my field of specialty is in the line of catching child predators and stuff, getting them behind bars, finding out why they do what they do, and then ways that our government is helping them get back out on the streets and protecting them. And one thing I found, and I don't know if you ever seen this, man, but CBS, out of all people, did a whole news story about this, where if an if an if a Israeli resident, I believe either if they're nationally from there or if, like, let's say, they have blood ties to there. Let's say they get caught up in with CP, they get caught up touching a child, they get caught up doing anything to that, right? Once they get arrested and they get out on bail, they can go back to Israel and they cannot be extradited back. So there's a lot of child predators that are just so happen to be Israeli that flee to Israel. And if you don't believe me, like, this isn't just like me like spewing it. Like, CBS did a whole story about it, and they will not be extradited. Like, I don't know if you heard about that. Have you?
I mean, I haven't heard about it. I'd assume that this is going to be true of like Israel if they have like a non-extradition agreement with America. I'd also assume that this is going to be true for like many other countries that aren't Israel that also won't extradite individuals to America. But what I will say is like having an ally of like Israel, which there's a billion reasons why I disagree with the allyship, but them not allowing extraditions of individuals to America, even though they are our allies, insane.
Yeah. Not only that, I believe there was an Israeli higher up. I forgot. He worked in the Israeli government, but anyway, he got caught selling government secrets to the Soviet Union. And he actually got arrested, charged, everything, right? He was in U.S. prison. And when Trump got into office, Trump actually pardoned him. And then he flew back to Israel. And when he was back in Israel, the first person to meet him was the Prime Minister Netanyahu, which is like, it's crazy. I don't know. Have you heard about the? I hope I don't get it wrong. Have you heard about the battleship, the Johnson? I believe that's the name of the battleship.
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay, so in the 1960s, there's a hot spot in the Middle East or whatever. So back in the 60s, Israel and Egypt, they were kind of going at it, and it was looking like they were about to go to war. Actually, they did go to war. It was a very short one. But anyway, they put out a mayday to all ships that's saying if you enter within 100 miles of this radius, that we will shoot you down, right? So there was an American battleship there. I believe it's the SS Johnson. If I'm wrong, the Liberty, USS Liberty. I apologize. You probably heard about the USS Liberty, right?
Yeah. And
okay, so my bad. I had missaid. So I guess so ended up being 30 American sailors dying, and they said it was a mistake. Oh, hold up, this lady is at my charging station. What's up, man?
Do I just pull the charger out?
Oh, you never did a Tesla charger before?
My husband usually did it, but he's not here.
Yeah. So you just pull it out, and then it's kind of like you just want to lick your hand and then slap the opener. So you have to put some saliva on there to activate it, and then it'll open up, and then you just want to double tap on the side cheek and then insert it in.
No, I did insert it in. I just want to know.
Oh yeah. You should pull it out. Okay, but did you do everything I said before? Oh, you didn't? Make sure you do that next time, okay?
I don't have to do that.
Yeah, you have to do that, yeah. All right, have a blessed one, man. Okay, my bad.
Continue.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just sad, over 30 sailors lost their lives. And, I kind of agree because, we see America always say that Israel is our number one ally. And all I did was, because I never heard of the USS Liberty, so I posted it up on my story. Just trying to inform people because I'm a big history buff, and man, I had so many I guess Jewish fans calling me anti-Semitic, and they were calling me all this type of stuff for just posting a literal thing that happened in history. And it's I think it's just kind of getting crazy out here because by no means am I a neo-Nazi. I believe Israel has a right to exist. People. But I kind of look at it as where if everybody else can be criticized and you can't be criticized, it kind of gets to a point, why are we at the point now where the New York mayor has to go visit Israel? What jurisdiction or power does a New York mayor have in Israel to where they have to use our tax dollars to fly over there with a whole security team that will probably end up costing like the people of New York $10 million? Like, what? Like, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. So I kind of just want to see your thought process on that, because I always hear people talk about the border and abortion and stuff, and I'm not sure if too many people talk about this with you, and I just want to
Right.
hear your opinion.
No, man. I mean, I appreciate you for coming up here and asking for it. Like, first and foremost, like, I do just want to tell you, like, I'm really proud of you for being critical of these things. Especially like, once again, from like a position of like being like a larger like influencer, celebrity, and whatnot, as well as like a Christian. I mean, I've seen a lot of your Christian content and how you kind of pivoted into that. There's a lot of Christians who accept very heretical teachings set forth in the 1980s, saying that the people of Israel are still yet the people of God, and we basically have to bend the knee no matter what to them all the time, right? I think I would recommend you talk to somebody that is a little bit more well like researched and nuanced on Israel and Palestine than I am when it comes to questions of like, well, does Israel have the right to exist? Etc. Because honestly, my research into it has kind of stopped at the conclusion that what Israel's doing right now is incredibly wrong. And the government of Israel has been perpetuating harm historically and today. And I don't think that the current government of Israel, needs to continue to exist. I think that the current government of Israel needs to be completely thrown out and restructured.
So when you say current government, you're talking about the Zionists, right?
Yeah, like Zionism, the IDF, Netanyahu.
Okay.
I just think that it's all terrible, and we need to get rid of that. But like, if Israel as a country itself has a right to exist. I mean, I personally hold to the position that ethno-states as a whole are wrong, and like affirming that an ethno-state has a right to exist. I'd be affirming that ethno-states should exist. I am more along the lines of supporting like multicultural democracies. So I think that multicultural democracies are really good.
Dean, listen. I only graduated high school. I don't know as many big words. So when you say ethno-state, are you talking about how kind of like after World War II, the displaced Jewish people were kind of placed in that region? Is that what you mean by that?
Like a state that is inherently predicated upon some common, shared, or typical ethnicity. You know what I mean? It's like, in order for the state to exist, it must maintain like a majority Jewish population, for instance, like ethnically Jewish. And I think that, supporting the existence of a state with a hierarchical suggestion where there must be a set amount of Jewish individuals as a part of the populace, or a set amount of white individuals, a set amount of any ethnic group of individuals is wrong. And I support multicultural democracies. That just means I support the democratic rule of law that involves a voting process that is available to everybody, like of age, of instance, and there's not an inherency of like one particular ethnicity. So I think that is like a common objection to the idea that Israel as an ethno-state has the right to exist. But okay. I definitely think like some sense of Israel, like the people living there, the innocent civilians, obviously, right? They have a right to exist somewhere. And I don't want to just uproot them and, displace them all, because, displacement of a mass group of individuals is bad. But I definitely don't endorse an ethno-state. And I think if we could have a state in the region that is a multicultural democracy, that isn't like pro-terror, pro-war crime, and pro like colonialism and expansionism, like that's probably a good thing, right?
Yeah, no, I have a lot of Palestinian friends, from Tariq and Mr. B's to I don't know if you know who they are, but the three Muslims, and they let me know, and they kind of like gave me the history, and like because a lot of people think this started back in, I think it was October 2023 when everything popped off. At least where kind of like the mainstream and everybody got into it, but like they were just letting me know how like this goes all the way back to the British colonialism and everything, man. So just from the research I've done and from the people I've talked to, genuinely, like I think I could genuinely say, like, I think Palestine should be free, and that's not trying to be like really political or anything. It's just kind of like in my opinion, just like a human being kind of empathy thing, where you see the stuff that's happening, especially with like Miss Rachel, freaking being a lover of children and wanting to teach them, and over here she donating and then getting canceled for donating to children. I think when you kind of get to that point where when you can't even take care of children, that's sad.
No,
But
bro, I agree with you. No, I know the fundraiser you're talking about. It's organized by my friend Tommy, and I'm actually in the works of getting involved with it. Miss Rachel's a big part of it as well, and it is sad. Absolutely, Gideon. I mean, damn, bro. Honestly, bro, like I'm proud. I'm proud of you. I really I don't hear this often from people with like extraordinarily large platforms such as the one that you have, and I just think it's cool. It's really really comforting to hear somebody with such a large platform valuing humanity over like a potential loss of like followers or income, and that's good. That's really good, man.
oh man, if they unfollow me, man, they love pedos, so they're gonna stay. Don't worry about that. But man, everybody in the chat saying add Anita, so I'm thinking Anita's important, so I'm gonna dip out. But you be safe, my man, and yeah, bro, I'll let you know when I'm in Colorado.
Okay.
And also shout out to Adam. I like Adam Mockler. I like him a lot.
Adam
Shout out
Mockler,
Adam Mockler.
he does a lot of good coverage over on YouTube about current events and whatnot. He keeps people informed. And yeah, they're talking about Athena.
Athena. Oh,
I'd assume.
let me put some respect on her name.
Yeah, I'd assume that they're asking that because she's like incredibly informed on Palestine and Israel. So I mean, if you like truly want to have an opportunity to take a little bit of a deeper dive into these things and get a perspective of somebody who's like probably the most educated person I know, it's worth having a conversation with her. And if you want, if you're interested in that, I don't mind facilitating that. But if you got to go right now, no worries. There's always.
Oh, okay. I guess I got the vibe. Like I saw everybody saying add and how do you say her name again?
Athena. They're asking.
I saw everybody saying add
Athena.
Athena. Oh, okay. I thought they were like saying I thought they were like kicking me out. I was like, oh, okay. I don't want to. That's what I thought. Oh, so they. Oh, I mean, yeah. If they want her to join in, yeah, I definitely. I mean, I don't care.
You're with that?
Yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Athena.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I didn't want to encroach upon your boundaries. Let's see here. All right, let's see if she's here. Actually, it looks like she's gone now. Unfortunate. I'm not seeing her in the queue.
Oh, she's gone now.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold up. While I'm here, wait, Dean, I gotta talk to you about. I gotta keep it real for a second, okay? Because I'm a busy man and stuff, so I get to just see clips and stuff. So I seen this clip. And sorry if I'm bringing up old baggage and stuff like that, but I don't want people to just think I'm a glazer. But I seen this clip of this guy, and you put out a hypothetical story, and you told everybody to you said you gave his username so that they could contact CPS. So and I'm seeing at first my TikTok feed was yo, Dean's effed up for this, F Dean, L Dean. But then I saw another side where people were okay, well, you guys didn't see the full context. So I'm I'm being a little messy here, man. I need the tea.
Let me tell you all about it. I'll be quick. So, in a nutshell, everything about Abise is backed by just recordings of them. This isn't a biased position. This is what happened. In a nutshell, there was a husband and a wife, and they talked to me. And when I was talking to them, they explicitly defended the idea that parents have the right to consent to their child being perved on or sexually exploited. And the wife even went on to argue that when parents allow their children to be sexually exploited at a young age and they're being exploited by a man with a lot of money, that it could actually really help their young child that's being sexually exploited. And they personally view it as a business transaction where they're giving the body of their young child to the older adult. And then that older adult is helping further the career of the young child. And then another point is somebody in the conversation was calling child pornography art, right? And then the husband hopped in and challenged the idea that that's sexual exploitation. He was asking for an argument for the idea that it is exploitative to force children to engage in the creation of child pornography. And my reaction to the husband and the wife here saying all these very crazy things was to say holy shit, you guys, if you're watching, find their public information and privately take it to their local CPS authorities because they have children and I want to make sure those children are safe. Now, in retrospect, I mean, what I should have done is either privately taking that stuff to local CPS authorities or just like anything better than directing my public fan base and galvanizing them to find their information and do that. There's about 1 billion better ways to handle it than I did, and I take accountability for that, and I've repeated that. But the gross misinterpretations that a lot of people on the right have made on the internet surrounding the idea that, you know, these parents were normal, they were good, they weren't advocating for these things, or even that I think kids can consent, is just outlandish and a gross misinterpretation of what actually happened.
Okay. We, um, uh, man, TikTok. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Dude, I still hear it every day. I still hear it every day. Dude, people continue to repeat that I think kids can consent to sex because of that conversation. The people on the right are just so outlandish. Anyways, you were referencing Athena.
Hi. Yeah. I'm on my like fourth backup, and I think that's why you couldn't find me probably. Hi, Dean.
Yeah, Athena, how you doing?
Hi. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I just came up like to briefly state like a couple of things, the questions that you're asking. Number one, according to international law, no state has a right to exist. People have a right to have self-determination. That is something that is enshrined in the United Nations Charter. But states, oops, sorry, dropped my bottle. States do not have a right to exist, right? This idea that Israel has a right to exist as a state is just like Zionist propaganda that is used to justify or kind of like exonerate the government from all of the atrocities that it has committed. And secondly, like what Dean was saying, like it's an ethno state, it's an apartheid state. It has been already deemed an apartheid state by the ICJ as well. And therefore, apartheid states definitely do not have a right to exist. But no state in general has a right to exist.
Okay, so when you say like, okay, so when I hear a state has the right to exist, like I think like, okay, America, you know, since are you America? Are you American, Athena?
I'm based in Europe. I'm based in Europe.
Oh, you're based in Europe. Okay. Well, I guess I can speak for me and Dean. So like, you know, I feel like I have a lot of patriotism for my country. So like, I feel like, you know, like whenever if I heard someone say, "Oh, America has the right to exist," you know, I guess I would see that as a positive. But I guess when you hear people say Israel has a right to exist, like kind of like, what context do you think they mean that in, and how do you take it?
Yeah, so states don't have an inherent or eternal right to exist simply because they were formed, right? You can definitely have like kind of like a national identity, that is true, but a national identity can also exist without a state, right? When we're talking about a state having a right to exist, it kind of like is talking about the its founding, its structure, its ongoing actions, its foundations, its institutions, right? When that is not the case, states always come and go, countries always collapse and reemerge or get refounded, right? So for that particular reason, the United Nations Charter, instead of emphasizing that states have a right to exist, what it does emphasize is that peoples have a right to self-determination and govern themselves, but not that a state, which is like literally like
Right.
a structure, doesn't have a right to exist.
That's also like
So
important to note. If I just 10 seconds here is like colloquially understanding these things. It's really easy to like just colloquially equivocate between saying that like a state that governs has the right to exist compared to like the individuals in which would make up the constituents of said state have a right to self-determination and a determination of the governance of the state.
Yeah, and also like people listen. According to the United Nations Charter, people have the right to freedom, they have the right to dignity, they have the right to self-determination, but a state only earns this legitimacy when it serves those rights, not when it actively suppresses them. And that's why in the case especially of an apartheid state most definitely does not have the right to exist.
Okay, so I guess like with Russia trying to take over and take Ukraine back.
Mhm.
Let's say President Zelensky came out and was like, Ukraine has a right to exist. Would he be using that verbiage wrong in that sense?
That would be sovereignty. I would say, yeah. I would say instead of saying that Ukraine has a right to exist, he would be instead talking about its sovereignty and territorial integrity, right? Because those things are protected under international law.
Oh, so
Because
you're saying
once
Israel's not talking about sovereignty, they're talking about their actions, is what you're
they're
saying.
talking about the actual state, the government, the structures, the institutions, that they have a right to continue existing as they do right now. But the problem is, since it has been established, it was an apartheid state. That would be like South Africa coming out and saying, hey, apartheid South Africa coming out and saying, listen, our apartheid state has a right to exist. Which is not the case, right? We recognize that sovereignty is a thing that is protected under international law, right? So once a state is established, like with a defined population, with a defined territory, defined government, it can be recognized by others. It can function as a legitimate state under international law, but it still doesn't mean that that state has a right to exist. Like that is not something that is protected under international law. And Israel doesn't even have defined borders. I don't know if you knew this, but Israel has not defined all its borders, which is precisely why it continues expanding. If you didn't know this, but ever since 1948, Israel has continued expanding its borders, and has never stopped, which is why it hasn't bothered defining all of its borders.
Wow. Yeah, I did not know that. Okay. I figured that whenever America kind of plopped them over there, it was kind of like already set up. So I guess
America didn't plop them over there, but yeah.
What'd you say?
America didn't plop them there. Neither did the British do. It wasn't established by the British or by the Americans.
Really? I always thought like after World War II, like the Americans helped facilitate and then recognizing them as a state and stuff like that. I thought that is what happened.
Recognizing them, yeah, but it wasn't America or the British that established the state of Israel. It was like these militia groups called the Haganah, the Irgun, the Lehi, and the Palma, who later on became the IDF. They're the ones who, through violence, ended up establishing the state, and then it was recognized by other countries. But England didn't establish it. America didn't establish it. Instead, it was the United Nations that had passed this resolution or this partition plan in 1947, which wasn't even legally binding. It was basically established through violence and then recognized by the United Nations and other Western countries.
Wow. I did not know that. So it's founded by. So it's kind of like I guess it would kind of be like the Americas, because then in America get kind of started by militia groups at first, and then organized into a government.
I mean, because it included the ethnic cleansing and the genocide of Native Americans, you could say, yeah, it is something that is comparable because it is inherently a colonial state. Yeah.
Well, one thing I'm not an expertise when it comes to all this political stuff, but I will like to say, I know a thing or two about the Bible. I consider myself a Christian, and I find it ridiculous when Christians they blindly follow anything Israel does because it says their name in the Bible. Because according to the Bible, Christians are, which are the Gentiles, are grafted in. So we are considered Israel. So obviously the Jew got it first, which Paul had said when they were given the first covenant, and then obviously the second covenant, because everybody on the day of Pentecost was Jew or had converted over to Judaism. But even today, with Gentiles and everything, we're all grafted in, so we're counted as Israel as well. So whenever I hear like Charlie Kirk or what's his name, Ted Cruz over here saying, I think it's Genesis 12:5, where if you bless Israel, then you will be blessed. So that's why I feel like we should give them $100 billion and why we should support them in any endeavor. I don't see that as being biblical at all, because at the end of the day, real Israelites would be Christians that were either Jews that believe in Jesus Christ or Christians that believe in Jesus Christ, obviously, and are Christians following him. Those are the real Israelites, in my opinion, according to the Bible. And I look at Ted Cruz, I look at Charlie Kirk, and I want to go to a Charlie Kirk thing and bring this up one day, because I just find it ridiculous, how you can quote Genesis 12:5, but when we get to Leviticus, 11:7, when it talks about not eating pork, freaking Ted Cruz and Charlie Kirk, they'll blow my head off, being like, "Oh my God, we don't have to eat pork anymore." Okay, so we don't have to eat pork. We can eat pork now. So, but we can eat pork now, but all of a sudden we still have to follow people that literally in the Talmud it says that Jesus is in hell right now, burning with excrement all over his face.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it has like nothing to do with the Bible. Like it doesn't have anything to do with the Talmud either. Unfortunately, religion has historically, especially Christianity, has historically been used to justify like colonization, right? So, for example, when we look at even during the European Age of Expansion, Europeans actively used the Vatican and also the Catholic monarchies of Spain and Portugal that were backed by the Pope actively justified colonialism, right? So this isn't the first time. Historically, people have used the Bible or biblical texts like the curse of Ham, because they misinterpreted the curse when Moses or Noah, was drunk and one of his sons didn't clothe him and instead laughed at him. They kind of misrepresented that and used that to justify slavery. The Pope justified the colonization of indigenous people. Surprisingly, the Dutch even used the Bible to justify their colonization of South Africa and their upholding of the apartheid state, right? So this has nothing to do with Judaism. It has nothing to do with Christianity. Because when we look at...
I will say a lot of people think it does because of dispensation.
Yeah.
It totally does, because like... I see no other reason why America is so involved with things in that region except for it being quote unquote tied biblically to it. I feel like if they were actually educated, I really don't think American politicians would do what they do.
It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with money. Palestine is geographically, like it's in a very geographically important space. It's right next to Suez Canal. The number one investors of the Suez Canal is literally China, right? China is actively trying to build this Belt and Road initiative through the Red Sea. Controlling Palestine and being able to build the Indian, Middle East, European economic corridor, which they signed off on in 2023, is something that Western politicians are interested in, right? So it's money. It's not religion. When we look at the...
Go ahead, sorry.
Do you know what the largest Zionist organization in America is?
No.
Okay, so a lot of people think of AIPAC being a lobbying group, right? The largest Zionist lobbying group and organization in America is actually CUFI, Christians United for Israel. It is run by John Hagee. It has over 10 million people signed to it. It is a Christian Zionist organization. A majority of Zionists are actually Christian. And so it doesn't really have anything to do with Judaism or religion. It has to do with money and colonization and imperialism and having control in that area because of the resource extraction and because of the trade routes that exist within that area.
I
hear you, but I personally don't. I really do hear what you're saying, but I just cannot get behind that, because the reason why I know it has to do with religion is because at the end of the day, it's like, look at all the money that is being sent over there, and then what is Americans, or what is the American people or the country of America getting in return? It's nothing. It's
A
a
lot.
one-sided.
I would
It's
actually.
a one-sided.
I'd like to add this on. I think it could be both. I actually agree with you both. So like the argument that has to do with money and control of the region, I think that's true. But I also think what Gideon, you're saying is also true because of the rise of dispensationalism and how dispensationalism is a theory, which is that the old commandment and the new are kept separate, and that Israel still has future promises from the old commandment that haven't been fulfilled yet. And that the history of the Bible has been divided into distinct dispensations, and that there's literally still promises and prophecies about Israel that have yet to been fulfilled. It became super popular in America in the 80s and the 90s and the early aughts. And now a lot of Christian Americans think that dispensationalism is true, regardless if they know it or not. You know, a lot of Christians probably don't know what the word dispensationalism means or the theological idea that it represents. They've just been taught that Israel is still very meaningful to the Bible. And because there's so many, Christian Americans that think this, therefore, if the politicians that are representing them want to be in good graces, they'll also think this and just basically shill for Israel to stay in the good graces of their constituents and of dispensationalism. I think that is very, very true. So they find this grounded in false theological frameworks. But then also, Athena, what you were saying is also true. It's kind of the other side of the coin, where there's a handful of people in our government that know if we could get control of the region, that there's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of money that exists there. So I think that like both are probably true.
I think your average like Christian or American might believe that. Your politicians don't, though. There is this CIA document that was declassified that explicitly says that Zionists sold themselves to American imperialism. I'm trying to look for it. So it was a CIA document from the 1960s. And it explicitly talks about how now Zionist leaders and Zionist agencies are just kind of have sold themselves to American imperialism and are working on behalf of American imperialism in that region. Not only that, but Theodor Herzl, the father of Zionism himself, literally stated that Israel would be a European outpost. Asia. Oh, I'm echoing, I think. Oh, no, I'm not. So Theodor Herzl, the father of Zionism himself, literally said that Israel would be a European outpost. And there is this infamous video of Joe Biden in the 1980s when he said in a speech that if Israel didn't exist, that America would create it in order to advocate for American interests in the region, right? So I would say like your average citizen or a Christian person, okay, it could have to do with religion for them. And but when it comes to your politicians, not really. Religion for them.
Oh.
But when it comes to your politicians, not really.
I don't know, man. I've seen that video of those New York mayor candidates. They were over here like, I've been to Israel 4 times. I've been to Jerusalem 5 times. I take my kid every birthday party to Israel. Like, I don't care how much money you're making. That's the type of brainwashing that only religion can do. And I will admit, even though I'm Christian myself and I hold Christian values, religion does bring the crazies. When you look at like the most craziest people in history, they followed some form of a religion. Like the dude in South America who got 900 of his members to leave America to go to South America. And then whenever he knew the FBI was about to raid him, he convinced 900 people to unalive themselves. And it was the largest unaliving of American life outside of America in human history. And it's like, stuff like that is like, I see the same thing when I see people pledging pure allegiance to a religion that literally hates your Lord and Savior, and it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Wait, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for this.
I need to hop in here real quick.
What's up, Dean?
I need to hop in here real quick. First and foremost, if you could turn off the Bluetooth on your phone, we won't hear an echo, which would be great.
Turn off the Bluetooth on your
if
phone,
that's possible.
we won't hear an echo.
I'm trying. I'm trying to say something, but it's there we go. But are you driving right now?
Oh no, man, Elon's driving.
Shit, I don't even know what to say in this circumstance.
Yeah. Elon's driving.
This presents like an interesting. I see. So usually, like, it's just like TikTok TOS that requires like you can't be driving while on TikTok Live. But I guess you're not technically driving?
No, yeah, my Elon, I was like, yo, man, why you expose our boy Trump like that for being on the Epstein list? And he was like, oh man, my bad, bro. And so I was like, okay, man, you gotta be on I'm on passenger princess duty the rest of my life. And he was like, okay, I got you. So yeah, he has to drive for me from now on. But I mean, if you need me to hop off because he's driving, like, I totally get it.
I want to look out for your account because I also don't want like your account to be banned. It's always tricky with TikTok TOS. I've had an account banned because TikTok thought that I was driving because of the sound. But anyways, Gideon, I seriously wanted to say here because I'm not going to immediately like remove you or kick you or anything because I guess you're not technically driving. But I really, really, really appreciate you so much for coming up here and being willing to have like a very public conversation about Israel and Palestine. Like, dude, you're big time. I grew up watching some of your videos. I've known who you are forever. You have like millions of followers everywhere. And the reason I bring that up is because, like I told you earlier a handful of times, when people have the millions of followers, they have the mass influence, they don't have this conversation. And a lot of your takes on the matter are also incredibly respectable. And I know that you're very interested in like Christian theology and whatnot. You like reading the Bible and exploring theology. If you ever want to mind to run some ideas by, or I could even run some by yours. I love researching Christian theology as well, and I'd love to go over some of these concepts with you sometime.
Oh, say less, man. Now that one, we might get a little bit more heated, man, because when it comes to the Bible, I got to ride hard for my Lord and Savior. But one thing I will say is if we ever do that in the future, man, my beliefs in the Bible is different than any other belief person that you've debated, because unlike other people, I don't compromise what the Bible says. I have to compromise my own business in order to follow my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Right.
Whereas a lot of people, they compromise themselves or they compromise the Bible and they'll distort things. They'll change things. They'll be like, oh, this doesn't really mean that actually, that's changed. I look at the Bible as it's all the truth or none of it's the truth. But Dean, it's great as always talking to you, man. Chat, you guys are awesome.
Before you go, can I show you something?
I can't look down right now because Elon.
You don't have to look down. I'll just read it for you.
Okay. Yeah. Elon likes me to look forward whenever I'm driving, or he's driving. My bad. But yeah.
Of course. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
If you can make me the big
ma'am.
screen, Dean, for everybody else. So this is from a declassified CIA document from 1950s or 60s. And it literally says, the Zionist leaders, having sold themselves to American imperialism, have placed their organizations and associations at the disposal of the American Secret Service. And the whole document talks about that, by the way. It talks about how Israel is literally doing what America wants it to do in the Middle East. Not only is it an anchor state of the West, but it also does all the dirty work of the West, right? So I could post it in my server or in your server, Dean, if you want. So it is very much, yes, for your average citizen, it can be about religion. But when it comes to like your politicians, it's about money and it's about power and it's about control and resource extraction in the region.
Before I leave, one thing I will say is I think that quote you just posted up is wrong. I feel like America is doing what Israel wants in their interest. I think it's. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but I think it's pretty obvious that when we got New York mayors rushing to gloat about how many times they've been to Israel, I guess who's doing who's bidding. But that's to say the least. All I know is nobody coming over to America is kissing the Statue of Liberty or the Declaration of Independence. That's never happening whenever leaders from Israel come in here. But you guys have a great rest of y'all day. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go catch this pedophile real quick
Oh,
and
dearest.
chat, man. Yeah, keep on chatting.
All right.
Yeah.
You take care. You take care.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna drop. But Dean, before I go, I just wanted to say, look into the India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor. It is supposed to go right through Israel and also through Palestine, and it is supposed to compete with the Suez Canal. So yeah, America is literally like wants Israel to do what it's doing. Not only America, but the West in general, and that's why they're funding it because Israel is literally doing like the West's dirty work for them.
You know,
But yeah.
I guess I'd be interested in further exploration of that idea because I think, you know, like a couple of things that Gideon said there actually really make sense to me too. Like, I feel like the agenda is Israel first, not America first. And like a suggestion that Israel's doing her bidding would ultimately suggest like an America first agenda. So I don't, it's interesting and it's worth further conversation. But as always,
How is
Athena,
it not? Oh,
go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry,
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna drop. I was gonna say, how is it not America or West first when it literally is funding like a lot of Western corporations? Like there are so many Western corporations that are making a ton of money off of what Israel is doing, unfortunately, right? When they're selling their weapons, when like you have a lot of contractors who are building the pier and all that stuff, like they're making money off of. Unfortunately, war is expensive for the average citizen, but it also is very beneficial for corporations.
I guess
And
the way
so,
I guess the way I look at it is like they're like, oh, if we put Israel first, then we can make a bunch of money. So like the making a bunch of money is downstream of a centering of Israel.
but don't you think that's how the West has historically operated? In that it has had these anchor states in like the global South that have continued doing its bidding, and in the grand scheme of things, that continues upholding Western structures and the imperial core. Because the only reason they're able to destabilize the global South so they can continue exploiting them is by funding these proxy groups, is by funding these anchor states, right? So in the grand scheme of things, a destabilized Middle East is much more beneficial for the West than a stable Middle East that could compete
Right.
against it.
And that's a good counterpoint. You know, basically like what it looks like is we're putting Israel first. And what it looks like is what's downstream from that is the shilling politicians and the companies making a lot of money. But like further concealed behind all of that is the, you know, we are ultimately in charge of these proxy areas. It makes us more money to destabilize the region in the first place. And the only reason why we shill so hard is so we can achieve our end goal beyond that of just simply supporting Israel, but destabilizing the region and making a shit ton of money and furthering our interests globally. I get the point.
Exactly. It also has to do with anti Semitism because a lot of these politicians don't want Jewish people in the West. So if you have a country in the Middle East where you can ship off, like for example, President Harry S. Truman, the reason as to why he even recognized Israel and went against his cabinet was because he wanted Jewish people out of America.
Right. No, I actually, that makes total intuitive sense to me. I see that. You know, like just like imagine that like we delegated like 1/10 of America specifically to black individuals following the end of the Civil War. Would we say that we're doing something good because you know we're giving like a particular part of land to black individuals? Or would we say, well, it's like fucking abundantly clear that, well, this was just a way to ensure that black Americans didn't have equal rights to white Americans where the white Americans lived, you know? So I get it. I get it. I get it. That's also a good point. But
Yeah, but anyways, thank you very much for
yeah,
having me. Bye, Dean.
yeah, thank you so much for coming up as always, Athena. Very meaningful. Very meaningful as always. You know what? Hey, man, I'll say this. I'll say this about the conversation we just had with Gideon. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool that somebody was. I said this like a bunch at the conversation. Somebody with just such a large platform is willing to like explore this on live. You know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It seems like you know that guy is like truly driven by what he thinks compared to what he thinks the people that follow him want him to think. I don't know. It's admirable, and I'm sure that there's a lot that he believes in that I disagree with. But just the suggestion of being able or being willing to counter Israel from such a position on its own is admirable. And I'd love to have a conversation with him about theology. I'd love to go at it with him on that. Anyways, everybody watching, we have now been live for around 5 hours. Holy crap, guys! We've been live for 5 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off for the day. But before we do, I am going to thank a handful of people. Like Kristen M. Thank you, Kristen M, for the $50 over on Venmo 30 minutes ago, saying love you. Love you too, Kristen. Hope you're doing all right. Hope all is well. Shout out to Kristen. That is Christin. Everybody show some love to Kristen down below for the $50. Thank you. And then Bailey with the $5 over on Venmo. I appreciate you guys so much for the love. Then also quickly, Hannah, thank you for the $10. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for the love. Hannah, that is very, very kind of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then Lindsay with the $10 as well. From Lindsay's husband, Oz. Shout out to Oz. And then Bjorn with the $11 and Kristen with the 25. You guys are all awesome. Thank you, everybody, so much for the love. I'm going to go to an end. Parker is going to be on later, so expect to see him soon. But yeah, at this point, I'm going to go to an end. And then one last thing. I forgot to say this to him on live because the conversation moved on and there was other points that I was honing in on. But he was referring to like Jewish individuals as like the Jews, referring to them as Jews. That was like very popular language for a long time. But I think that term just aids and abets in like dehumanization of individuals. So we could call Jewish people, not the Jews. So I should have brought that up earlier, and for that I apologize, but it's still worth noting on now rather than never. I'm going to go to an end. Everybody have a great rest of your night, both over on TikTok and on YouTube. Love you all, y'all. Love you all.